So for those of you that don't know, Dan is the CEO of razorblue, an exciting business that's had a tremendous journey. So Dan, perhaps you could just start by introducing yourself, introducing the business, and the growth that you've achieved to date.
Yeah, sure. So Dan Kitchen, founder and CEO of razorblue. We are an IT managed services business. So we look after technology for typically mid-sized businesses, so 50 to 500 user type businesses. And that's across the whole spectrum. So managed services, cloud connectivity, applications, pretty much every technology need that a business can have. Business that I founded when I was sort of 17, straight out of college, and grown to where we are today. We're about just shy of 20 million turnover, 200 employees. So it's been an interesting journey, a lot of growth, and a lot of pain and lessons learned along the way as well.
Yeah, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
You've got to enjoy the journey, because otherwise the destination just keeps getting pushed further and further away, doesn't it?
It does, and I think a lot of people who grow up businesses, when they first set out, they expect it to be a sort of nice, steady incline of a growth journey, and it's actually very much more lots of ups and downs, lots of steps along the way. So
yeah, 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Exactly.
As long as the line is trending in the right direction, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Tell us about the successes you've enjoyed over that time, then, Dan.
So we've been growing over like the last 5 years, probably 30-40% a year, and some of that's been organic, some of that's been growth through acquisition. I think why we achieved that, I think we've just been very good at what we've done. We've had a plan, we've stuck to it. Great team of people behind me across the business. So number of different areas. We've done a couple of acquisitions as well, and obviously that brings different challenges as well. So yeah, I think the growth's been fantastic. I think it is sometimes challenging because fast growth brings challenges with it at the same time.
Yeah, and what I suppose what does the future hold? A bit of maybe a question for the future. If we had a crystal ball, it would be great. But what is the kind of journey do you foresee?
I think it's quite hard to say because the technology market is moving so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're doing now might not necessarily be what we're doing in a couple of years' time, and it's quite hard to plan what the future looks like. I'm quite often asked, what's your 5-year plan? And I think we don't really have a 5-year plan. We have maybe a 1 to 2 year plan, because you've got to move with the market. We've seen what's happened with the advent of generative AI in the last sort of 18 months and what that can do, what the likes of Microsoft Copilot's bringing to everybody at the moment. So it's very much a challenge to say what the future holds, but I think AI is certainly going to change the world. I think the cybersecurity landscape is very interesting for us as to where that goes, because you're always 1 step behind the adversaries, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, and how do you see AI impacting your world?
I think it's twofold. There's how does AI impact our world, as in the services that we offer, and then there's also how does AI impact our clients.
Mm-hmm.
And they are 2 different things, but one and the same as well. So we're already using AI quite heavily in the business. We've built some really good use cases where we've replaced, for example, we have a service desk that receives about 600, 700 emails a day for people trying to log a support incident with us. We've managed to replace 2 people's roles who were just purely doing that with AI, which is absolutely phenomenal. It means that we've been able to move those people somewhere else in the business to do more exciting stuff.
Interesting. So, yeah. And what? How do you see clients embracing that? What are your clients? Obviously, being in that world, I'm presuming you're a partner they turn to and ask for your opinion on AI and how it can impact their business. What do you see clients doing?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similar stuff being done in that space. I think one of the biggest challenges clients seem to have is that they want to use AI, but they're not sure what they want to use it for.
Yeah.
And so we get quite a lot of that. We want to use AI. Okay, what do you want to use it on? I don't really know. You tell me. So where it's becoming more prominent, I think, is a lot of the industry specific application vendors are starting to build that into their products. So if you're in legal practice management or accountancy practice management or something like that, or perhaps in your industry, Paul, the software vendors that make specific software for those industries are starting to actually build that functionality into their own products. And I think that's probably where the vast majority of clients will start to consume those services.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Professional services, our CRM has AI built into it. We haven't deliberately embraced it because I think in the written format, you can spot the superlatives in a job advert that's been written by AI. But there is that option for us to start clicking buttons and writing text and job descriptions and adverts. And we are holding off doing that until it's improved. I don't want. We don't want every job to sound like it's been our advert to be written by a computer. Tell us how your finance team has evolved over that journey, then, Dan.
So if we go back sort of 3 years ago, we had quite a small finance team. So we had a single person. We had an FD and an assistant. And I think we've moved on massively since then. We've got a team that's much bigger, sort of 10 plus people in that team now. And I guess it's an evolution of complexity. With doing a number of acquisitions, you end up with more legal entities, more complexities with consolidation. Because we're selling more and more products and services, you've got more and more vendors. And I think one of the key points in our industry is we sell lots of things, and they're all usually relatively small unit prices. So we're selling things for 50p a pound, but they've got a quantity against them. We get billing data from the people that we buy from, consumption data, and we also then have to invoice that out. So it is quite complex in what we do, and so I think that's led to a natural evolution of the team into a much bigger function where we've had to add some commercial skills in there. Timing's quite important in what we do, because a lot of what we do is recurring services. So making sure you've got stuff in the correct periods and things like that, I think that's also quite time consuming. So so we got a much bigger team now that's evolved over time. And I know you've helped us along that journey with a number of people in the team. So.
Thank you, appreciate the plug. And what were the kind of challenges the finance team faced then, Dan?
I think rapid growth brings with it its own challenges when you're bringing on new products and services. And I think actually probably one of the biggest challenges for a finance team in our industry is actually understanding what all these things are. In delivering cloud and data center services, there are a lot of components, a lot of fixed assets, a lot of recurring costs, a lot of licensing. And this is all very complicated to somebody who doesn't really have a technical understanding of how it all sits together. So I think that's one of the challenges is actually getting your head around what we sell. The rapid growth for sure, and systems actually. So we moved to so it's absolutely the right thing to do, but we moved to Microsoft Dynamics for financials. Getting on for about 2 years ago now. But that was a learning curve for some people to move to a brand new ERP system at the time that we were also having quite a lot of change in the team. So I think when you combine those two things together, it puts extra pressure on the team. But it was the right thing we needed to do for the size business that we were. We needed something that would give us that sort of proper group consolidation, financial reporting, and analysis capabilities that we didn't have in the systems we had previously.
And how did those challenges then impact you as CEO?
I mean, I think finance is the lifeblood of the business, really, isn't it? So I think the key things that are important to me are having a good idea on what the budget looks like for the future, what our results look like, both in terms of sort of profit and loss and cash, liquidity, all that sort of stuff. Having access to that information readily and quickly post month end to help you make big decisions is pretty critical.
Yeah. And as you said, we helped introduce both Emma as financial controller and Simon as CFO. But what was the final tipping point that made you decide to invest in a CFO?
I mean, I think we'd always had a senior leader in finance. So I think it was an opportune time for us to look at the skills that we needed in the business. So when we needed to come to appoint a new senior leader in finance at that point, it was taking a look at all the different skills that we needed in that role, because I think many people may think that a CFO is about being a really good accountant, and yes, it is to an extent, but it also includes an awful lot of other responsibilities, a lot of abilities to make decisions quickly, things like that, that come into it as well. So we were looking for someone who is pretty well rounded in all of those respects.
Yeah, and what was the brief? What were you looking for? What can people learn from your experience of having been through this, appointed, hired a CFO, successfully integrated in the business and helping you? What were you as a CEO looking for?
Obviously, accountancy skills are important.
Yeah.
I think that's a given.
Yeah.
But aside from that, really good people leader. We've got a great culture here, and I think it's important that person fit our culture.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly when you're working alongside board members, you really got to get on with each other. There can't be any politics. Everybody's got to be aligned with the same common goal. So I think that comes into it as well. There's decision making and decisiveness. In a business that's fast paced like ours is, you need to make decisions and you need to move quickly on things. We can't afford to be stagnating. And also someone who's been there and done that, I suppose, and got that systems and processes knowledge, how to implement good systems processes, how to implement controls. Again, has been in a business where they've had to do that. I think they're all pretty important factors, as well as being able to develop a team as well, and grow a team, and then also interact with your sort of your peers at that top level as well, on a commercial level, on a delivery level, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, good. And we're absolutely grateful that you did, but why did you come to us at Paul Carr Recruitment, Dan?
I have to be too careful here, don't I, Paul, not to not to build your ego up too much, but
I promise I won't blush.
I think we've had some bad experiences, and I think if I can be a bit disparaging about the recruitment industry, I think sometimes it has a reputation, and I've seen this myself. There's a reputation there for, I'll do anything to make money. And I don't care. I don't care who I throw under the bus. I'll do it because I want to make money. And I've seen an awful lot of that over the years. And there's competitors of yours that we've had fingers burned by. So I think obviously got a relationship with you, and I think you seem like a pretty trustworthy guy, and I've come across that way so far. So that was the driver behind it. Really, is we had a good relationship with you, and felt like you understood our needs, and we could trust that who you put in front of us would be candidates of a good standard that you would be happy to sort of stand behind yourself.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate that. And what was your experience of that process?
It was very, very good on both accounts. I think we turned things around pretty quickly, and were able to I suppose tick all the boxes that we needed to in terms of the process we needed to go through to get an understanding around the people we were hiring, and if they were the right people for us, and if they thought that we were the right business for them as well. So very good communication, and a good understanding of what we needed, and that process that flows on from there, I suppose.
Super. And can you describe the decision-making process that led to the selection of of Simon, the CFO you chose?
Yeah, I think it was probably a lot of the decisions that I've made in recent years around hiring, because I've learned a lot of lessons about hiring the wrong people, and I think my hiring style is more that I hire for personality fit,
Mm-hmm.
probably less so than technical skills. So I think that was between myself and another one of the non-exec directors who were on the interview panel. That was probably a lot of the criteria was, could we see this person working in the business? Could we all get on with them? And I think that was a key part. And we then had to look at their career history, and had they had experience in the areas of the things that we needed to do, we needed to deliver, and that helps. That helped as well. I was thinking it's always good to have a few people on your interview panel as well, because you get differing views on people. And in fact, out of the people that we've interviewed across a number of different roles, not just these, quite often you get differing opinions from different people.
Yeah. And of course, always handy to have a non-exec director who's an accountant.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
If you can pull one of those into your interview panel, everyone wins.
Yeah, indeed.
And since you've had Simon on board as CFO, what's been the most significant impact on the business?
I was thinking about this. Earlier, and probably more stability and direction, because we've got a long way to go to get to utopia. I think being a fast-growing business, you're always a little bit on the back foot with systems and processes and things like that. So I think he's certainly brought that stability that's given us the ability to stick to the path, I suppose, and see the progress that we're making. So yeah, I'd say that, and it's certainly allowed me to step back a little as well from being more hands-on in finance, whereas I'm now sort of more on the periphery, I would say.
Excellent. Any smaller or quick wins that you had?
I don't feel like I'm an entrepreneur, so my version of quick is like tomorrow. So nothing is a quick win to me. But we've done a number of projects that have really sort of helped. I think we've implemented an expense management system, which we sort of sorely needed. Really, we've got 100 plus people that are regularly out in the field and on customer sites and things like that, and trying to manage credit card transactions and things like that was pretty challenging. Make sure they're charged the right project, we're accounting for everything correctly. So we brought that in. We've implemented some payments automation as well. So payment runs were once a bit of a nightmare to do. We've now got full automation from the system for all of that as well. So yeah, I wouldn't say they were quick, but they're definitely wins.
Definitely wins. Yeah. And I know you've got a great culture that's all around people and celebrates their success. Perhaps you can just share with us how those people in finance were recognised this year.
We had. Have you had some? You had some prior knowledge on this.
Well, it's on LinkedIn, so yeah.
So we have a big Christmas party every year where we combine that with an awards ceremony, and actually, pretty much most of the finance team won something at that. So there was a definite number of awards that were handed out to members of the team, as well as recognition throughout the year, in Employee of the Month and things like that. So yeah, the finance team have definitely shone in the last year, and I think it's testament to some of the new people that we've brought in. Not just ones you've recruited, Paul, but other people in the team as well have all really pulled together, and we're in a fantastic place now.
Good. And I know from speaking to Simon, he's so team orientated and all about people development, that was a massive success for him, and celebration of the achievements of others, filled him with pride, and rightly so. And since Simon has come on board then as CFO, how has he contributed to strategic planning and your continued growth?
I think we're starting to get to that now. I think, and again, advice to anybody who's hiring someone in this sort of in this sort of role, it does take a little while to get embedded into the business. So we're starting to get around to that sort of stuff now. We're into M&A planning, budgeting for next year, and commercial planning as well. So across all those different disciplines, we are doing stuff. So we're making good progress under his leadership.
Yeah, which is great. Sounds like you've got a supportive partner that, it's not just on you and the other members of the senior leadership team, but you've now got somebody scrutinising that from a financial perspective.
Yes, absolutely. And I think where we're trying to get to with decision making is all decision making needs to have different stakeholders involved. There's always commercial that wants to do a deal, and there's always finance that wants to make sure it's profitable, and there's always a people team that want to make sure we've got the right team involved and we do a good job, and a professional services team that want to make sure that they deliver on budget, and that we do a good job as well. So
yeah, and if you get all those right, you continue that growth. and what would you say? Obviously, Dan, we've all made bad hiring decisions, and appreciate you acknowledging that, if you like. But you've obviously been through a number of strategic hires. What would you say to a business leader, CEO, that is on that journey and considering investing in a finance leader?
I think this is always a bit of a personal thing, as to everybody does everything differently, and you should, because that's why we're all successful in our respective fields, right? It's because we do things differently to each other. My advice would probably be trying to make sure that you, particularly when we're talking about a senior finance leader, that you've got that sort of personality fit, that you can really see eye to eye with that person. You can trust them. You think, if I had, and this is what I'd say about my board. If I got run over by a bus, could I trust them all implicitly to run the business? Yes, I could, and I think that's probably what you need to hire for if you're hiring in a role like that.
Yeah, super, great advice, Dan. That's absolutely a fascinating insight into a brilliant business journey, and I really appreciate you being so open and honest with us and sharing your successes. I'm absolutely certain there's a number of takeaways there for anybody watching this to consider. But yeah, thank you for joining us. Thanks for being so open and honest.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, and I'll catch up soon.
Yeah, and for those that might be listening or watching this on catch up, if you will, the next podcast is actually with Simon, and that's the CFO of razorblue, and that is the view from the CFO. So great to hear from you, Dan, as the CEO on that continued growth journey, and we'll take Simon's views on the next episode and see how the CFO views that same journey.
Great.
Thanks for joining us, Dan. See you soon.
Thanks, Paul. Goodbye.